Sunday in our focus on the sacred feminine. And we've been looking at the sacred feminine as containing all of life's mysteries, those universal mysteries, all that we've yet to discover of God's creation and to experience as our magnificence and the wonders of life itself. And we've been referring to the sacred feminine as the darkness within us. Because until we choose to look within ourselves and explore its depths, until we decide to look for more to know about life than we believe we already know, and until we allow new thoughts and new ideas to come to light in our mind and to be known consciously by us and to us, then we are mentally and perceptually in the dark. We could say that until we bring new thoughts and new ideas to light, that God's creation remains to us as unformed and unrecognizable within us. Though the sacred feminine contains within it the kingdom of heaven, and that's within us, until we become conscious of it, until it becomes real and formed in our mind and it comes to light within us, then our mind remains, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago from the science of mind, in an unformed state, and appears to us as an unthought state. So this morning we're going to look at how we can discover more of the unknown, those unthought things we haven't thought about yet. And they're infinite, and they go on forever, so we need to get started today. Now, the title of my talk today, excuse me, I have to adjust. It's just my mic. All right, there we go. The title of my talk this morning is Rainbows Without the Storm. And the title was inspired by a YouTube video that a friend sent to me about the lunar rainbows or the moonbows of Yosemite. Maybe some of you saw the YouTube video. It was wonderful. And it was about the effect or the rainbow effect of moonlight on the waterfalls in Yosemite when the night is clear and the moon is full. And the narrator talked about rainbows and how we look at rainbows as optimistic signs. After a storm, we see a rainbow and we think to ourselves, we're going to be fine. We made it. We survived the storm. And then it showed the amazing brilliance of a rainbow as contrasted against dark, stormy clouds. And then the narrator added, but here at Yosemite, you get rainbows without the storm. And it made me think about all the ways that we judge life through contrasts in life. How we come to know things through their opposites. So we might look at peace in contrast to war, love as compared to hate, and joy as the opposite of sorrow. And when we experience these things, love and peace and joy, they often seem to us to be all the more sweet because we have experienced their opposites. And that made me wonder about our ability to perceive and experience God's creation and ourselves as God created us without a need to experience something opposed to the allness of God. Without our needing to see contrast, without our needing to compare, without our needing to see opposites in this world. And we read in A Course in Miracles, in this world, heaven is a choice, because here we believe there are alternatives for us to choose between. But creation has no opposite. Now, in this world, because we see pairs of opposites everywhere, we habitually learn from those opposites. We take one side of a pair of opposites to define the other. In fact, what we know about men and women, the ideas that we have formed about men and women, often come from noticing our differences. Now, we have fun with some of those differences, and depending what we're contrasting and comparing, it can make us pretty happy with the gender that we've chosen for this lifetime. And when I was looking for an example of such comparisons to share with you, believe me, there were plenty, some of which are not for this group. But there was one about 11 people, 10 men and 1 woman, who were hanging from a rope that was coming down from a rescue helicopter. And they all agreed that one of them needed to let go because the rope was not strong enough to hold all 11 of them, and it was about to break. And they were far enough above the ground that if it broke, they would all die. And so at first, no one volunteered to let go. And then finally, the lone woman gave a beautiful but brief speech about her willingness to give up her life to save the others. Because after all, women are used to giving up things for their husbands and their children and giving in to men and not getting anything in return. And when she finished her speech, all the men started clapping. All right. Oh, I'll turn it around next time for the divine masculine. But as we compare men and women, and we look at our differences, it can make our differences seem more real. And unless we use those differences to teach us so that we can learn that we are one life together in God, then those differences in our mind can not only become conflicting and painful in our relationships, but they can interfere with our true perception of life itself. Now, over the years, I've counseled many couples, some together, but mostly separately, who were experiencing drama, and lots of it, in their life and in their relationship. And though, as I listened to the stories, the who, what, when, where, and how differed, the underlying problem was very similar. The feelings of love upon which the relationship had begun had faded. It's been said that familiarity may not breed contempt, but it certainly takes the edge off admiration. When we accumulate a past with another person, if we don't consciously seek new thoughts and a new perception in that relationship that we share, then our perception and our attitudes and our feelings about ourselves and the other can become flat, lack dimension, seem like a rerun of the same old thoughts that we hold about ourselves and the other, rather than our experiencing a relationship as a multi-dimensional opportunity for us to look deeper into the presence of love that we share and to bring that love to light in our life. Not too long ago in our spiritual practice and action group, which is affectionately known as SPA, the question was asked, why do you think we create so much drama in our life? And someone volunteered an answer, said, because we get bored. Now, boredom, by definition, is dull and weary, colorless and worn out. And it isn't only in our intimate relationships that we get bored. Sometimes our whole relationship with life is one of boredom. A dull, weary experience with our family members, with friends, with coworkers. Boredom with what we do or don't do, and boredom with the activities that we engage in our free time. But because we are sentient beings, which is to say, because we are conscious, feeling beings, and because we are fully alive at our core, and that life desires a greater expression in our life, the sacred feminine within us will urge us to feel alive by feeling something. And when we are bored with our life and we're bored with ourselves and uninspired, then, and our mind is filled with the same old thoughts day after day without any creative inspiration or spiritual inspiration from our spiritual practice, then we are likely to choose negative stimulation in our life so it doesn't feel so dull. And we might choose worry and anger and melodrama and even hysteria to take the edge off the boredom so that we feel more alive. And we might use our personal relationship to shake things up, or we might follow some melodramatic news event. We might get our feelings hurt, or we might gossip about somebody else who's having a hard time, or we might talk about some dramatic world event. And all of these negative emotions seem to bring color and intensity to our dull experience. We feel alive because something is going on. And in our intimate relationships, when we make up, whatever couples do to make up can seem to stimulate the love that we thought was fading away, or what we'd been calling love. In the Science of Mind, we read, love is a complete unity with life. And we cannot enter this state unless we are in unity with all that lives, for life is one. And in A Course in Miracles, we read, love has no separate parts and no degrees, no kinds nor levels, no divergencies and no distinctions. It is like itself throughout. It never alters with a person or a circumstance. It is the heart of God and of His Son. We could say that the sacred feminine is the heart of God, the voice for God, and the soul of the universe, the power of love itself. What we call love in this world of opposites, that warm, fuzzy feeling that seems to come and go, the increase in color and intensity in a relationship that can also fade, and a love that alters with a person or a circumstance. is a love that is based on contrast and comparison and is as superficial and temporary and subject to loss as anything else is in this world. When we experience love through duality, then compared to anger, make-up love surely feels good. It feels like it stimulates something because it is in contrast to the dark storms of emotion. The color and intensity brightens against that contrast. And we think to ourselves, we made it. We're going to be fine. We survived the storm. But our seeking to stimulate the flat line of our heart or the boredom of our mind through negative emotional responses is not only not creative, but it can't lead us anywhere. It takes us from the flat line of 0 into the minus in our life. And then all of that color and intensity that we feel as we see the storm pass only brings us back up to 0 again, because we haven't sought anything deeper or richer about love in ourself or in another for us to bring forth into the light of our experience. Like the tip of an iceberg, the fullness of love and the wonders of life are deep and expansive beneath the surface of the obvious. And they await our discovery so that we can bring them to light and they can add radiant color to our life. So how do we get there from the surface? Well, in the video, the narrator explained how the rainbows in the waterfalls come to appear. And he said that it's when light enters a droplet of water, bounces around a few times, and comes out again. It goes in. When it goes in, it's refracted a little. When it comes out, it's refracted a little. And this spreads white light into all the colors of the rainbow. A storm isn't needed for such a rainbow to appear. Only the play of light. And the same is true for us. All the drama, all the negativity, all those dark clouds of emotion are not necessary for us to experience and appreciate the color and richness and beauty of life. Only a little play of light within us. In physics, follow me now, Dave. In physics, refraction is the change of direction of a ray of light in passing from one medium into another, in which its wave velocity is different. Oh, and I've got an analogy here. The wave velocity of our perception remains the same on the inside and the outside when we agree with the world of things. There is no difference between what we see and what we believe. But we can change what we see, and we can see it differently when we allow the waves of our perception to move through the things that we see in the world, and they become a different medium because what we are looking at is the oneness of God. And our light is refracted into colors in our life. We can see anyone And any situation, no matter how dull and dreary and dramatic it may seem to be, differently, when we change the direction of the ray of light from the outside in to the inside out, so that we are looking from our light, so that we are seeing with our light. Rather than our looking to the world for stimulation, rather than our needing to experience what isn't in order to appreciate what is, we can allow our mind to play in the light of the Spirit within us. Through quiet contemplation and deep meditation, we can move into the seemingly dark, unformed waters of our soul and find new thoughts and new ideas bouncing around in the Christ light. Ideas and feelings and joy and love and peace that are not dependent on opposites. Drama will never take us where we want to go. It will never reveal to us the greater mysteries of this life, the universal mysteries, all that we've yet to discover of the creation of God and experience as our own magnificence and the wonder of life. We won't get bored if our conscious intention is to discover the mysteries that include greater love, greater joy, greater peace, and color and radiance that cannot fade. In this world, heaven is a choice, because here we believe that we have alternatives to choose between. If we choose heaven, every moment can be a multi-dimensional opportunity for us to look deeper into the presence of love in ourselves and in each other, and bring that love to light in our life. And when we do, the colors and intensity that we will experience will be all the more sweet, because we will have the rainbows without the storm. Namaste.